Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Tech Talks on this Wednesday, September 8th, 2021. We will be starting shortly. Bienvenidos a todos. Gracias por estar con nosotros en este miércoles 8 de septiembre. Vamos a empezar momentáneamente. We do have interpretation services for you today. Please click on the globe icon at the bottom of your screen, select the language of preference for you, and you will engage and listen to the presentation in the language you select. Tenemos servicios de interpretación para ustedes. Haga clic en el símbolo del mundo en la parte de abajo de su pantalla y seleccione el idioma que le gustaría escuchar. Usted participará y escuchará la presentación en el idioma que seleccione. As a reminder, today's webinar is in webinar format. It is Zoom, but it is a webinar. And we ask that you use the Q&A feature in the features on your screen. Generally, they're found at the bottom. If you'd like to ask a question, please use the Q&A. And now I'm going to be turning it over to Ms. Heidi Mahmoud. Welcome, Ms. Heidi Mahmoud. I will stop sharing.
All right. Welcome, families. My name is Heidi Mahmoud. I'm so excited to be here presenting to you today and hopefully helping you to learn a little bit about our district's volunteer program. So here's what I was thinking we would talk about today. We would first go through some quick highlights of the volunteer program, how to fill out an application, maybe some changes if you were a volunteer in years past, what does it look like now? And then I thought we could look at how to fill out an application live together so you can see that the process is not scary and it's a little bit cumbersome because you have to fill in a lot of fields, but once you have your account created from year to year, it's a relatively easy process to continue to volunteer. And then finally, I was thinking we could look at the Daily Pass and take a look at the Daily Pass through a volunteer's perspective. So for those of you who haven't yet begun to use the Daily Pass for yourself, maybe you're used to using it for your child, we will be able to take a look at that together. So I am going to share my screen and we'll start with a brief overview of some of the fall highlights right now that are currently in place. So while I have the screen open, it is a little difficult for me to see the Q&A. I promise you I am not ignoring you. I love to answer like every single question. And what I will do is I will defer to my colleagues here and they will help me out to lift your questions so that I can answer them live. So first and foremost, I want to let you know that I too am a parent in Local District Central, and I know I'm not, as a district employee, I'm not supposed to play favorites, but having been raised in the Eagle Rock area and having kids in Eagle Rock area as well and attending Eagle Rock schools, I'm just a little bit biased for Local District Central. So I'm really happy to be here with you today. So there are 3 guiding documents that are available to you as you are considering being a volunteer in the Los Angeles Unified School District. And they are all located on the hyperlink that's on this screen. And if I could ask my colleagues to drop it in chat, that just makes it so much easier to click and visit. But you're also welcome to take a picture of it and visit the site later. The first guiding document is the quick guide. And this gives you just 5 steps to become a volunteer in our district. And, you know, obviously it's we could have made it 20 steps if we wanted to be super detailed, but we wanted to keep it on one page. And this is really helpful if you are interested in getting the word out in having more volunteerism in your school. The second is this middle guide here, and this is my favorite because not only is it written in an FAQ, frequently asked questions style, it also has some steps on how to get an appointment to be fingerprinted if needed. It also has a more detailed step-by-step on how to fill out an application, and it's about 4 pages long. So it's a little bit longer. It's not a one-page guide, but both of these documents are available in English and in Spanish so that hopefully we can spread the word to as many families as possible. And the final document is actually our policy. And at our office, usually when we have a parent facing or a parent front policy like the volunteer program, we also like to make this available to our families. And so at this time, it is available on the same website that you see at the top of your screen. This is more written for our employees so that they are familiar with the steps that they need to take once a parent or a community member fills out an application. So a staff person would then need to go into their system and approve the process or the application, or they might need to also ask some additional questions, fill in some dates, and finish up that process. So these are 3 guiding documents that are available to you. I know often we have community representatives, maybe some coordinators on the Tech Talks with us, and so these are available to you as well. Anybody? Next, I'm going to talk about some highlights that are a little bit different from our volunteer program in the spring. So first and foremost, we are back to having on-campus volunteers supporting and helping in all of the areas that we used to have them support and help with back in before the pandemic. So we have classroom volunteers that are helping and supporting. We have office volunteers that are helping and supporting. And there was a little bit of a limitation on that in the spring, but we're back to what we might call normal with, obviously a few changes, but there's more availability now. Secondly, part of our new normal is the fact that we do have to do regular COVID testing, and we do need to present a daily pass on each day of service. And at first it's super cumbersome and, the website doesn't work as fast as you want it to. But once you're able to develop the habit of it, we learn tips, we learn shortcuts, and hopefully now it's not as difficult to get the website up and to get that daily pass. Volunteers, we're encouraging them to get tested regularly at school sites. And I'm going to say that with a little bit of a hesitant pause because we have heard some real concerns both from schools saying, I don't know if we can manage this, and also from volunteers saying, my school doesn't want me to test there. So we're going to be working with Ms. Araguin and team to help pave ways for you and to reassure schools if they're feeling hesitant about providing COVID testing to active volunteers on the school site. So we're happy to help you with that. Please do let us know, let the team know at Local District Central so we can help manage that and be messengers with you to make that happen. And something that's new that just happened this summer is that we really want to acknowledge all of you who are volunteers, whether you're volunteering on the campus or you're volunteering by supporting from the home. So we've added another level of volunteerism called Tier 4. And this is our virtual or at-home volunteer. This is somebody who maybe will not have face-to-face time with students or staff, or might have just periodic face-to-face time with staff. They might be supporting at the home with doing community mapping, making phone calls, getting resources. They are still volunteers, and they are still giving of their time, their precious time, and their energy, and their talents to support our schools. And so we wanted to find a way to be able to acknowledge them and thank them for their service and have it documented that, yes, you are an approved volunteer. So we've added on Tier 4, which is the virtual or at-home volunteer. I'll talk in a little bit about some of the requirements, but typically when we talk about being in person with students, there's certain health and safety requirements that must be fulfilled. One of those being the Megan's Law background check, and that is the Megan's Law sex offender website, that would need to be checked whether you're a virtual at-home volunteer or whether you're on campus. So we would check your name through that system. But other requirements such as tuberculosis clearance, that would not be necessary if you were a virtual volunteer. Because just like I'm connecting with you, I'm not actually there face to face with you in person. And so there's a couple of other requirements that would be waived if you were a virtual volunteer and you were not having any interactions with students. So there's lots and lots of opportunities for our volunteers, but of course I will say we also want to be cognizant of the fact that our principals are also going to be approving volunteers based on need. So next, let me tell you a little bit about what happens after you submit your application. So in the past, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, our volunteers would submit their application and then they would wait. And they would wait. They would wait maybe 2 weeks. And I promise you, it's not because we were being lazy and not processing applications, but I'll tell you, in August and September, we get so many new volunteers wanting to be processed and wanting to get their badge so they could be on campus. And it became a little bit of, difficult to process so many badges at one time. We're talking thousands and thousands, and I have a wonderful team, but there's only about 3 of us that are working on it. So as you can imagine, it takes some time. So we had a really great innovation during the pandemic, and that was, what if we were to email a temporary badge? The volunteer could then use that temporary badge for a period of time. That would give us a little bit more time to mail them the permanent badge, which is on a lanyard that you can wear around your neck if you're in person. So we started this in the spring, and we've decided to continue this practice even into the fall. So it was a great innovation that we learned during that time. So once you have submitted your volunteer application, your principal or designee will then approve it. Once it is approved, our office, my office, the Office of Parent and Community Services, we review it one more time just to make sure that everything is in order. And then we will issue you an email, as well as your principal, with the graphic that you see here on the left. It is a temporary badge. You will be getting this if you are going to be on campus volunteering, and it will have an expiration date. Usually it's about 30 to 90 days, or 30 to 60 days, 30 to 45 days, in the future, just to allow us a little bit of wiggle room to get you your physical badge that you'll wear around your neck. That will be in the plastic. And that badge will actually look like what you see on the right. It has 2 gray stripes on the side, and it will say your name here and the year of 2021, 2022. If you are a virtual volunteer, you unfortunately will not be receiving a badge in the mail. If you are a virtual volunteer, you still are a volunteer. It's just you will not be wearing one during your time of service. So there might be another way to identify that you're a volunteer, but you will not have the actual lanyard. All right. So some of you might have heard that in your service as a volunteer, you might need to get fingerprinted. So I'll take us back to maybe 3 or 4 years ago when it was sometimes difficult to get a fingerprinting appointment. Part of that was because the same fingerprinting centers that we were sending our families to were the ones that we were also processing our staff through. So new staff that was hired in our district would go to the exact same locations, and sometimes they would only have availability a few appointments per day. So some of our potential volunteers, they were waiting for a few weeks before there was an available appointment for them. And so again, innovation struck during our time of being at home, and we were able to find another way of making appointments in neighborhoods that were closer to home. So we do have a website here, and it's also included on the guide, the 4-page guide, that you can fill out a few pieces of information, including your zip code, so that you can find a fingerprint location that's closer to you and you can get your fingerprints done. Now, before I go into more details about the fingerprints, just know that fingerprints are only required if you are a Tier 3 volunteer. That means that you are going to have the highest level of contact with students and you are going to be meeting with students in small groups over a long period of time. So, Tier 3 volunteers come in a few categories. These are our volunteers who are supporting in the cafeteria with food handling. These are our volunteers who are supporting with overnight field trips. These are our volunteers who are helping with after school programs and clubs. And these are our volunteers who are doing one-on-one tutoring. So those are 4 categories where we see students and volunteers creating really wonderful, lasting relationships. And for that reason, we want to make sure that there's that extra level of safety. And so fingerprinting is required. And some of you may have heard in the past that the cost for fingerprinting was a deterrent. A few years ago, our superintendent made a decision to bypass that cost. The district would pay, and that is still in place. So we ask that you follow the steps here. If you know you are going to be a Tier 3 volunteer and you fall into one of those categories, then you can make your fingerprint appointment through this site. And if you need help, staff is available at your school site to be able to help you do that if needed. All right. So before we move on to the next part, because I imagine there's going to be a lot of questions, I do see that there's quite a bit of chat posting. And so I'm going to ask my colleagues from Local District Central if we can maybe take a pause here. I'm happy to answer any themes that might have come up so far.
So Heidi, thank you again for joining us and for sharing all this valuable information. So far, a couple of the questions that are similar are, can I volunteer in my child's classroom? Was one.
Okay. Yes, classroom volunteer. So yes, and I'm going to put a little star there. You can volunteer in classrooms. However, we always say that the purpose of a volunteer is to give of their time and resources to the school. It's not always to the individual class. So keep it in your heart that you would love to volunteer in your child's class. However, the principal may have another volunteer assignment for you. So, depending on the teacher, the needs of the class, what the principal would like, the principal is really going to be the one that helps to the principal approves each volunteer, but usually works with the parent center and the coordinator to find tasks for the volunteers to do. So I put yes, but with a little star, and I'm not sure if you're going to get to volunteer in your child's class, but that can be definitely your ask. But just be prepared that you might actually be better suited to support another class that maybe the teacher has a specific task in mind for you.
So related to that, so what category would I be if I were volunteering in my child's classroom?
Wonderful. That is a Tier 2 volunteer. And that means that your name would be checked on the California Megan's Law sex offender database, and you would need valid tuberculosis clearance. And that means that you would have to show that you do not have tuberculosis. And that can be done by going to one of our wellness centers or to your medical provider to provide that. I wish we could say the district offers those for free, but at this point, you all are wonderful. You help with the local community clinics that are make that available, but I don't have a centralized list of our free and low cost clinics. But that might be something we can reach out to our colleagues here in the Local District Central to find out for you.
So a couple of questions, sorry Anita, a couple of questions related to the tiers. So One was what is tier three, and then another was if I want to work in the cafeteria or on campus, what level, what tier is that? And
Okay.
then one more that asked a review of all the tiers.
Okay. All right. So tier one, I'm gonna review this, but then I'd also like to show you the guides because the guides actually have a visual that's a little bit easier, especially for those of us who are visual learners. um, so tier one volunteers are either emergency volunteers or single event. This used to be popular many years ago. That hey, you're only going to be here one time, so just fill out the slip of paper. You'll be an emergency volunteer. As a district and as somebody who's over the volunteer program, I don't particularly like that, and I'll tell you why. We need to know first of all how to get in touch with loved ones if we hope this would never happen. But let's say the bus is running late. Let's say there's really bad traffic and you're on a field trip with the class and there's some sort of emergency. We need to be able to have that information centrally, not just with the school level. So when you fill out an application, we need to have that data. Also, our district does purchase insurance, and so our volunteers who are in the volunteer management system are insured. If anything were to happen, we would want to make sure that you get the correct care that you need. So tier one volunteers are single event, that's emergency situation only. Tier 2 volunteers, this is where the majority of you would fall into. This is our classroom volunteers and our office volunteers and our playground volunteers and our campus volunteers. This is most of us. This is how most of us are going to be giving of our time. And that's what I explained before. We would need the Megan's Law, we would need the TB clearance, and then, of course, our daily pass. That's just the new normal. Tier 3 volunteers are the ones that now have the added fingerprint clearance. So you've got your Megan's Law, TB, and your fingerprint clearance. It's a next level of checking the background to make sure everything is in place and that we can have you be with our kids. I hope that kind of clarified. Oh, and then I forgot also, sorry, tier 4 is our virtual volunteers. These are not parents or family or community members who will they will not be interacting with students. These will be mostly people who are from the home. So I hope that helped to clarify 1 through 4, but I'll show you a visual that will also explain. I hope that answered it, Elizabeth.
Yes, the tiers were answered. There was a question that I've seen twice about the level of English that's needed by the volunteer in order to volunteer.
I love that question. We need volunteers that speak all languages. And I will say that please do not let your mastery of the English language prevent you from giving of your time and your service. I will show you when we go through the process of submitting an application, if Spanish is a language that you feel more comfortable speaking in, or Korean is a language you feel more comfortable speaking in, I'll show you how to customize the application so that you can fill it out in that language of your preference. And then you can always talk, I should say, you can always talk to your school staff, the principal, the coordinator, or your community rep and just say, I would love to volunteer, but my English is not so good. Can you use me? And I'm sure they'll say, yes, yes, we can.
So, Heidi, there's also a question about if I have 2 children at 2 different schools, do I need to make 2 different applications?
I love that question. And the answer is yes. So the reason is because each of those schools has a different approver. The principal at that school has to approve you for each of the sites. So the same is true if you had 3 kids at 3 different schools. You will make a new application for each school site. And the great thing is the system does not limit you. You'll see we'll have a little laugh together when you see my profile in the background, because I have about 10 applications that I turn in each year just because I demonstrate to other people. So there's not a limit on the number of applications that you can fill out.
So to clarify, Ms. Heidi, if I want to apply at each of my child's schools, I have to do a different application for each school.
That is
However,
correct.
as far as fingerprints are concerned, then how would I proceed?
Yeah. So, as far as fingerprints are concerned, remember you would only need them if you're a tier 3 volunteer. And most of our volunteers, I would say 85% of our volunteers will be tier 2. So, we don't have to worry about the fingerprinting, because at all points, at all times, I just want to reassure everybody, volunteers must be supervised by staff. So, at no point, even if you're a tier 3 volunteer, at no point are you going to be alone with students and not have staff that are monitoring, that are around, that are, they're in the same room with you, or whatever that might be. So just know that even though the fingerprints and the tier 3, at no point are we having volunteers and our students together alone. That's not okay. That's not what we have in our policy.
So
So
there
Heidi,
are, oh, go ahead, Anita.
yes, so another question is, and I'm reading it, I already did fingerprints. Do I have to do it again?
Oh, yeah. Yes, and that was part 2 of your question, Elizabeth. Thank you, Anna, for bringing that up. Okay, so fingerprints only need to be done once for our entire district. Because we've gotten such great interest over the last few years around fingerprinting, right now all of the fingerprint clearance letters come through my office. And so if you need to check on a volunteer fingerprint clearance letter, one school needs it. Maybe you used to have volunteer at the elementary, but now you're at the middle school, you don't have to get fingerprinted again, but you need that letter because the school is asking for it. Oh, where's your clearance letter? You can reach out to us. I am going to see if I can pull the chat out here. And I think, yes, I can. I'm going to put the email address of my office, and it's very easy to remember. It's families@lausd.net. And you can use that email address to reach out. Let us know if you need a copy of your fingerprint letter to be given to the new school site. And we're happy to look into that for you so that you don't have to go through the process again. So if you have been a volunteer in the past and you want us to check and make sure that we still have those results on our record, we're happy to do that for you.
There are also a couple questions around COVID-19. So do you need the vaccine in order to be a volunteer?
Oh, yeah.
And then if you are a volunteer, do you have to test periodically?
Great. So, Elizabeth, I'm actually going to move to the next slide. I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to go to the next slide because it's going to answer that question. So, at the beginning of the school year, we had initially published some guidance that vaccinations were highly encouraged but not mandated. Since we have been in school, since we have received additional guidance, I am going to be adding an update to the website which states that our volunteers will need to show proof of vaccination. So just like our employees and our contractors, any adult on our campus, by October 15th of this year, they must have a full vaccination uploaded into the Daily Pass, or proof, I should say, proof of full vaccination uploaded into the Daily Pass. I know for some of you, this throws a little bit of a curveball toward you, but I hope that once this will resonate with you, that our district has continually made decisions that were in the best interest and the highest level of safety for our students. I've heard it said many times before that other districts look to us as the gold standard for the policies that are the safest. And sometimes some people might say restrictive, but I know that is because we deeply care not only for our staff, but for our families, for our students, and for our volunteers, our community members, and anyone who comes on our campus. So this is new. You may not have heard this, and I hate to be the one to bring it to you. I hope some of you will maybe breathe a sigh of relief that this is something that is being mandated. It will be monitored, and we're working with staff and how they will do that. So just know, I'll show you that process in just a minute. We'll break free from this presentation and I'll show you that process as well and how you can access and upload your vaccination card in the Daily Pass. Okay. Are there maybe one or two more questions before I move on?
Sure. Another question is, at what age can we start volunteering?
Yeah. So our students in grades 10, 11, and 12, there is they can volunteer, but they must be students within Los Angeles Unified. Unfortunately, at this time, we don't have a system. If you have maybe a son or daughter that's attending a private school and they need community service hours, unfortunately, they will not be able to volunteer on our LA Unified campuses at this time. If you are a recent graduate, we welcome you. You're a community member. You can fill out a volunteer application as well. And so the age is around 10th grade if you are an existing LAUSD student and you would like to volunteer. And I'll show you that in the application.
And then another question about where to upload the proof of vaccine.
It's going to be in the Daily Pass application. So the same one that you use every morning to create the Daily Pass for your child is the same. Well, I should say, if your child is old enough to have their own Daily Pass, they are able to generate it. So my daughter is in the 9th grade and she's able to generate her own Daily Pass on her, each morning. If as an adult, if you're generating a Daily Pass for your child, then you're familiar with when you go into the Daily Pass itself, you can upload either records for yourself or for your dependent. So again, I hope to model that for you and to show you exactly where and which tab and which button to click on. So if we have time today, I definitely want to show you that as well.
This question,
Sorry. There's a question. Can I take my baby to school when I want to be a volunteer?
Oh, thank you so much, Maria, for bringing that up. So unfortunately, oh gosh, we love parents, and we just love that they want to, share the experience with their little ones. But we actually have guidance in our bulletin that restricts our volunteers from bringing their little ones with them. Oh, it kind of hurts my heart, but part of it is for safety reasons. And part of it too is because we know that you're not going to be able to fully concentrate on your volunteer duties when you have the little one with you. So I apologize. I know that sometimes it's hard to be a new parent and then also have to, find ways to socialize and stay connected. And so I hope that you will be able to find some other opportunities until your little one is able to be taken care of so that you can come in and volunteer on your own. So I say that with compassion because I know it's wonderful to be socializing with others and to be in that school environment. But unfortunately, little ones, they need to stay at home when you do your service.
so a question again back to the vaccine.
Okay.
It was posed in Spanish, but basically the question is, so staff and teachers and volunteers all have to be vaccinated by October 15th.
That is correct. Fully vaccinated by October 15th.
So that includes us, it includes the teachers and the volunteers. Yes.
That's right. That's right. Would it be okay if I went ahead and continued and then we'll do another pause for questions?
Sure, then we'll
Okay.
do some more
Oh,
questions later.
you guys are asking such great questions. You know, I'm the kind of person that I'll just stay with you for a couple hours and answer all of them. But I know there's some people on the call with us today that are saying like, let's get to that next part. So we'll pause in a few minutes, and then I'll take a few more questions, and then any time that I have toward the end, I can take a few more. All right. So I'm going to be showing you this today. This is a reminder. I hope every single person who is watching today and you are a parent of a student in the Los Angeles Unified, I hope you all have a parent portal account. One of the great advantages of having that parent portal account is that you can go straight to your volunteer application through the parent portal. It's easy peasy. The two systems, they talk to each other, they're linked to each other, and it just makes it so much more simple. And you can also get to the Daily Pass website through the parent portal too. It's just we try to create a one-stop shop kind of model so that parents go to this one hub and they're able to access all the various applications from this one place. So I will model that for you in just a few minutes. And this is the end of my first part of my presentation. I have the email address down there at the bottom of the screen, as well as our phone number if you do need to reach out to us. But as you see there first, please try and reach out to your school first and see if the school can answer your question. Some of you had wonderful questions that I would love to be able to answer on behalf of your principal, but note that it is your principal's authority and your principal is the ultimate approver of your application. So please do speak with them first and, about the status of your application. But if you have any questions, especially if it's about the fingerprinting, if you've been a volunteer in the past, or any other, irregularities, questions you might have, you can feel free to email us at families@lausd.net. All right, I'm going to stop sharing here, and I am going to reshare. This time, though, I'm going to share from the, oops. All right, so team, are you able to see my parent portal screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. All right. So hopefully you all are familiar in how to get to the parent portal. parentportalapp.lausd.net. I have already linked my daughter to my account. So I see my name there. Welcome Heidi Mahmood. That's my name. This is my real account. So I'm not going to be revealing too much information about my child's ID number or anything like that. But this is my actual real parent portal account. So when I'm on my screen here, I am able to get to the Daily Pass. You can see it right here. I can click on this link and go to the Daily Pass if I want to do that. But I wanted to show you how to get to the actual volunteer application through your parent portal. So if I scroll down to the bottom on my screen, I will see my student's name. I'll click on her name and just, so I privacy and all that good stuff. I've opened another tab. And so once I clicked on her name, you guys will recognize this iconic screen with all of these beautiful jewels, different applications that you can click on. Some of these are, for me, super useful, and some of them, I don't know if I'll ever use that, but that's okay. So the one that I'm going to call your attention to right now is this one, online forms and applications. So I'm going to click on this one, online forms and applications. Oh, of course. All right, phew. I just refreshed my browser and then it came. So I thought, of course, it's going to make that error as I'm trying to show you. But here it is, online forms and applications. So I have a couple of different forms that I can fill out through this tab. But this is the one I want to show you. This is the school volunteer application. So if you haven't filled out your volunteer application in this manner, we highly recommend it. And it's just another way to practice using that parent portal and all the features that it has to offer. So I'm going to click on this school volunteer application. And typically, if I wasn't logged out because of inactivity, it would have automatically opened up to my parent login. So I'm going to go ahead and log in again. Oh, okay. And this is the part where we're all going to laugh at me because look at all of my applications. And look, they're all pending. Nobody ever approved me. Oh, no. But it's okay because this actually isn't a real application. This is just me testing the application to make sure it works for you. So these are all my fake applications that I've filled out all over the years, all the way since 2018. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start a brand new application. When you log in, you're probably not going to see all of these applications because you're not silly like me and you don't apply like 4 or 5 times every year. Before I move on, I'm going to scroll back up to the top because I want to show you if you would prefer to see this application in Spanish. You're going to go to settings, preferred language, you're going to choose Spanish, and then save. All right. So now instead of welcome Heidi, it says bienvenido Heidi. And all of the other buttons are in Spanish. Okay. Maybe you also saw the option to switch to Korean. Well, that didn't work very well, did it? I was really excited. So there could be some of the parts of the application that will happen in Korean, but it doesn't look like it. I apologize. That was kind of disappointing. I was really excited when I saw, ooh, Korean too. But unfortunately, it looks like maybe that's still under development. So I'm going to go back to English. Okay. Let's start a new application. So I'm going to click on new application. And this is good news because all of this information, you see how it's already filled in for me? By the way, this is not my real birth date, okay? But all this information is already filled in for me. I can't change my name because that's already been set up in my account. I can change my email address, however. If I go back to settings, I can change my email address there. My address, not my real address, not my real phone number, but this is already pre-filled out for me. So if I have ever done an application in the past, when I start a new application, thank goodness it's already inputted there for me that I don't have to do it over again. But let's say I moved. Oh no, now I live at 1, 2, 3, 4 heliotrope. Sure, no problem. I can just change it and update it here. Okay, I can still do that, those adjustments. I have my emergency contact. It's always good to have Mickey Mouse as your emergency contact. Just spoken here. This is just to help if the school might need some additional language support. So for the parent who asked if my English isn't very good, oh, I can guarantee you we will definitely need your language skills in a different language to help us at the school site. Then when I'm finished with this first page, maybe there's no adjustments that I need to make. I click on next. Here I can fill out. It automatically says returning volunteer. That's because the system already knows that I've filled out an application before. This is the box I would check if I was a student in the 10th, 11th, or 12th grade. Okay, somebody asked that question earlier. This is a very important field to make sure we fill out. What kind of volunteer are you applying for? Are you applying to volunteer on campus? Most of us will probably choose this one. But maybe I want to be a virtual volunteer, tier 4, right? Or summer 2021. Well, that was in the past, so please don't choose that one. In fact, we should probably remove that, Maria. We should probably remove it. Don't confuse people. So let's say I want to volunteer on campus. So I'm going to click. Oh, look at this. Are you guys seeing the pop-up window that came up on your screen? Does everybody see that?
Yes.
All right. So this is a liability waiver. What this says basically is I acknowledge that when I leave my home, I put myself at greater risk of contracting COVID-19. It's the truth. There's no way around it. Even if I'm vaccinated, even if I'm wearing my mask and I'm washing my hands frequently, my chances of getting are very low. However, it's still possible. So when I sign this, I'm basically saying I acknowledge that there is a risk involved. Okay. If I decide to click no, I don't agree, I'll show you what happens. I'll do it for you so you don't have to do it, okay? I know some of you were thinking it. So I'm going to click no, I do not agree. So then we get a message that says, we are sorry, but you may not proceed with your on-campus volunteer application at this time. Okay? So I just click on okay. Then I have a change of heart and I say, you know what? Okay, I'll go ahead and agree to it. So I'm going to click on campus again. But this time, after I read through everything, I'll say, yes, I acknowledge my risk and I agree. All right, now it will let me move forward. So here I get to fill out whether I'm a parent or legal guardian of a child of an LAUSD student, whether I'm a community member or a non-custodian family member like an auntie or abuela or someone else, right? Or another type of volunteer. Once I have filled out the appropriate information, I click on next. And now I'm ready for the next page. And at the top, you can see yourself. Look, I'm almost to the very end. So here, this is also very important. This allows you to disclose, have you ever been convicted of a crime involving children? No, I have not. And here's where you select which school you want to volunteer at. So I am going to go ahead and choose, I'm going to choose Toland Way. Okay. Do I have children attending this school? No, I don't. But they're nearby, so I would like to volunteer there. I can select my availability, and this will help staff to maybe place me during a time or a day of week when they need me. So I'm available evenings and afternoons on Monday and Tuesday. And the total number of hours that I can contribute is, let's say, 15 hours per week. It's totally up to you. This is really about your availability and if it changes at a later time, you just have to let the school know. That's not a problem. So when I'm finished with all of that, then I'm going to click on review before submitting my application. All right, so this is my opportunity to read over it one more time to make sure that I didn't put any mistakes. So I'm looking through everything. Okay, Toland Way is there. That's the school I wanted. And everything looks good. So I'm ready to submit. So I click on Submit Application. And now I just realized Toland Way is going to get a really strange application from me. So I'll have to call them. Okay. Next, we have some next steps for me that I need to make sure that I keep this application available to me. It's now stored in my volunteer management system account. So if I ever need to get back here, I start in the parent portal. Then I can go to online forms and applications, and then I can get to the volunteer application. Or there's also a direct link to the volunteer management system. The web address is volunteerapp.lausd.net. Okay. I can print this out. I can, those of you who are a little more computer savvy, you can print it to a PDF and you can save it as a file. You can send a copy to somebody just to say, hey, just letting you know, I just filled out my application. I'm looking forward to being approved, and your school will, contact you when they're ready to. So this is my application. Down at the bottom, there is a place to print my name and sign, but it's not a form. Some people were feeling very disappointed because they wanted to click on here and they wanted to sign their name. But unfortunately, you would only sign it once you print it out. One day, hopefully we'll make it so you can put your electronic signature. Now, let's say I wanted to go back and check on the status of my application. Ooh, maybe the principal, they have a new principal there. So maybe they've already approved me. So let's go see. So I go back to the volunteer management system, and here's my long list of applications. Here's Toland Way. Oh, I'm still pending. That means I have to wait. Once I'm approved, this little button here will turn green and it will say approved. And at that point, I should be receiving an email at my email address from my office, Parent and Community Services, with my temporary badge. And at that point, I'll just need to make sure the school's ready for me to come and I can start my volunteer service. So it's really important to stay in contact with the school itself. Don't surprise them and be like, "Hey, I'm here," but just let them know, like I received my email confirmation. Can I come in next week? Can I come in tomorrow? And just be in contact with them. So, oh, I'm so excited to talk, and I can keep talking longer and longer, but I know there's one more piece I wanted to show you very quickly, which is the daily pass. So can I show, team, can I show that very quickly before we move on to last questions? That'd be okay?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thanks so much. I'm going to stop sharing and open. I hope this is helpful for you all. I hope it's helpful to get to see it live.
Miss
All right.
families are saying thank you very much.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad it's helpful. I'm not going to say it's a perfect system. I would never say that to you. Say that I have truly, my team and myself, we care very much that this is an accessible process. I know some of you really struggle with the technology, and the best thing that I can say to you is, I know it's hard, ooh, but get a friend to help who has lots of patience to help you teach you how to do it. Because I know there's a part of us that says if it's hard, just have somebody else do it for me. But these are things that are going to help you in the future when it comes to filling out that FAFSA, or whatever other online form. Everything's online these days. And compared to the FAFSA, this is a piece of cake, I have to say. The FAFSA, of course, is the application for federal student aid if you do choose to get student loans if your kids are going to college. So I have one that's already in college and the ninth grader that's going to be coming soon. Okay, I'm talking too much, so I'm going to close this window and I'm going to make sure that I'm sharing the right window here. All right, so I started here because I wanted to show you dailypass.lausd.net. It's thinking. It knows I'm doing a demonstration, so it's going to think extra long. Maybe it's open. Nope. It's not showing up for you guys, is it?
No.
No,
No.
it's just spinning.
It's just spinning, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to try clicking on this one, which is, okay, let's try this. It's like it knew that I was going to do a demonstration for you all today, and it was like, hee hee hee. I'm going to act up. Of course, this never happens for us, like when we're waiting to start in the morning and get the kids in class, right? And you're waiting in the car and you're trying to get your daily pass. Okay.
There were some issues this morning, correct? I think it was
Yes.
jammed this morning.
Yes, it was actually down this morning.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry, everybody. Well, while we're waiting, I'd love to take a few more questions. And if I am able to get it back up, I do want to show you where you upload your vaccination card. So I'll keep working on it on the back end. And team, if you wanted to give me a few more questions, that would be fine with me.
There were a couple of questions about folks with allergies and an aversion to taking the vaccine and whether they could volunteer without being vaccinated.
Oh, that I really do have a tender place in my heart. I know that that there are real medical, religious, health reasons. At this time, we are recommending the virtual volunteer opportunities, and so maybe speaking somebody at the school to find out if there's a way to be able to volunteer virtually at this time. That is what my understanding is. Maybe things will be a little bit different somewhere later down the line, but we do still want you to volunteer, if possible, virtually.
So there's a question about if the person is not able to find their vaccination card, what can they do?
That's a wonderful question. I'm I'm going to put some ideas out there, but know that I'm the kind of person that really just wants to be helpful. So if team, if you know another way, please let me know. But I know myturn.gov is a website where a lot of the information is kind of held centrally. There might be a frequently asked questions that can help you to find where that record might be, and you might be able to get access to it. And in terms of the vaccination information itself, personally, I'll tell you how I did it. I took a picture with my phone of the card and I uploaded the picture. So I know they don't need like a scanner or a photocopy or things like that. They will accept various forms of proof of that. So if you are able to get a photo would work as well, even if you're not able to find the card itself. I don't know if that's helpful or not, but there might be more additional resources on myturn.gov, the centralized, the federal site for the vaccination, or the California site for the vaccination.
Also, maybe where you receive the vaccination from your medical facility, that you can also communicate with them to see if they have a copy, maybe that they already have an electronic copy that they can send you.
Great point, Alex. That's actually maybe the first place that you might look. Great point.
Yeah, I know our health provider, if you ask, you can email the health provider. And I know even before you enter, let's say if you're going to Kaiser, if you're going to a clinic where you had it given to you, then they are able to check your record, your health record. And I'm sure they can provide, thinking they should be able to also provide and confirm that information.
Love that. Thank you.
There was a question about if, how long does it take for a person to find out once they've been approved?
So that's a wonderful question. I wish I could give you like, it takes between 1 and 2 weeks. All of it depends on how frequently your principal is approving their applications. So if you have a principal who is constantly checking the system and constantly approving, then it could be within a few days. However, I do want to let you know, so parents, just letting you know, we do send reminders to principals if they have applications that are pending approval in the system. So we do send a reminder to them, but of course, they are the ultimate approver and they get to put that stamp of approval when it is time. So if you've been waiting maybe a week or two, I think it would be respectful for you just to maybe, give the school a call or let the principal know, through email or any other way that you're interested in volunteering. And it looks like, I'm sorry, everyone, it looks like the daily pass is down. I'm so sorry. So maybe at another time, we can kind of go over that process of how to upload the vaccination card. But
and Heidi, I want to read Ms. Rebecca Bautista. She says that she went to Kaiser for a doctor appointment, and it was in her record already. So she says that it was in her record and I vaccinated somewhere else.
Oh, that is fascinating. So maybe there is a universal kind of place where all of that data is kept on our record somewhere else. That is a really great piece of information. Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you for sharing that.
Heidi, I recently uploaded my vaccination picture onto the Daily Pass, and I can tell you that it's the second tab, and it says upload vaccination, proof of vaccination status, I believe.
That is correct. And Alex, I know they ask you for information, like when you look at your card, it has the lot number. So like the batch, right? So
Yes,
you do have to fill in some information, like when you went for your first dose, when you went for your second, right?
The date, it asks you for the date, the name of the medication, Pfizer or Moderna, the date that you took the vaccination, that's the date that's on the card, and then the lot number, like you said. And then so with Pfizer, it's asking for the first date, the same information, and then the second date, the same information. And that is all available on the card.
the card. And then, of course, you have to upload also a picture of the card itself. And then
Yes.
the team, the community engagement team, will review and match. And for me, it took about 3 days in order for it to show up on my daily pass page. So it does take, between 48 and 72 hours. Sorry, I was trying to add 48 and 72 hours in order for it to show up.
Yes,
So,
and I also received an email confirmation or to let me know that it had been added to my record.
awesome.
That's correct.
So one of these you have already, maybe both of these you have responded to, but just to reiterate, if a parent cannot take the vaccine, he or she at the moment is not allowed to volunteer on campus, correct?
Elizabeth, I want to be really sensitive about this question, and I want to say that is correct. However, I really want to encourage for those who are, for whatever reason, not able to volunteer at this time. I really want to give you some encouragement to find a way to provide I know you already do as parents. You provide our community a great service and how you raise up your children strong and happy and healthy. But I would be, think about potentially volunteering virtually if there's a way that you can give of your time in a virtual manner instead. Yeah, and keep checking back with us because the situation may change. My hope is that we are not in the same situation next school year. My hope is that our numbers will go down and we won't be seeing more COVID cases. That is my hope.
And then there are several folks who have applied and have not received a response. So what would
Yes.
we recommend that those folks do?
Okay, so I maybe you can tell this about me. I'm a little bit of a optimist, so I'm going to presume positive intentions, and maybe my principal has been super busy just with managing, students and instruction, and maybe teachers, and maybe they just haven't approved my application yet. So I could speak with the principal either during coffee with the principal or send principal an email, give the school a call, and just be that, that persistent neighbor. Hello, I would like to volunteer. I filled out my application. Let me know if there's anything you need from me, but I'm really anxious to get in there and to volunteer my time. And so that's what I would recommend is again, presume positive intentions. It's not that the principal is ignoring you on purpose. It's that there's a lot on their plate right now. And it could also be that right now there's not a lot of opportunities that are available, but maybe throughout the school year, as we start getting more deeper into the school year, some more opportunities will happen. But I want to encourage you to reach out if you have a question to your principal or coordinator or community rep and just let them know. Friendly reminder, I filled out my application. I'm ready whenever you are for me to start.
So we are already at 4:34, and I'm going to share our email information for our LDC team. And if you'd like to include your information, and Miss Maria, thank you for answering all those questions. Um, Anita, if you can look at Magdalena's question, I'm not sure what that was. I don't see it now.
Anita might have, she had to step away to another
She
meeting.
did. Okay, maybe you can see what that is. I don't
So
know.
tell me the name
Okay,
again.
so I'm gonna, it looks like she said, it looks like Magda, something, Magdalena, por favor.
Okay.
She's asking if we can
Por favor,
answer her
say.
question, but in the meantime, I'm gonna share our information. I'll just share that one slide. Where is it? Right here. Okay, everybody, so this is our information for our champion LDC PACE team. As you can see at the top, we have our administrator, Ms. Teresa Reguin, and her email address. We have three magnificent parent community reps, Norma Gutierrez, So No, and Olivia Rocha. And then we have a team at the moment of 6 parent educator coaches, including myself, Elizabeth Lomelli, Anita Martinez, Irene St. Amant, Alex Campbell, and Vilma Monson. And our email addresses are there. There's also a phone number at the Lanterman office, which is 323-342-5734. And then Ms. Heidi, I don't know if you'd like to add your information. And again, thank you so much, and Ms. Maria so much for being here and doing this great presentation. Thank you. Okay. Oh, and you put that in. Great. Did you want to say last few words?
Just thank you all for your great questions. I apologize. I know I wasn't able to answer all of them, but please do feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to answer what I can, and just know that I may refer you to speak with your principal, because I know they're going to be the person that's most in touch regarding the opportunities at your school site.
Okay, everybody, thank you for being here with us today. And again, sorry if we didn't get to all of your questions. Please reach out to us by email or by phone, and we would love to assist you. Reach out to your parent community representative at your school for assistance with the volunteer program. Reach out to your administrator if you've already applied, your principal, your assistant principal. The person at your school who's in charge of parent engagement might be the person to know the answer to your question when it involves volunteering. So we're happy that you were here with us today. Thank you so much. And we will meet again on next Wednesday. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.